Yo, everyone. There's not many people here yet, but I know people will watch this after. I'll leave it on my story for the 24 hours or whatever it lets you do. So, I am going to start unmasking this soon. Anyone want to shoot me some questions? McFizz, what's happening, brother? Getting some waves. Taxi cab, yellow, diecast. The goalie looks like your guys are goalies. That's cool. Maybe before I unmask it, I'll spin it around and talk a little bit about it. I'm sure you guys some of you have followed the process of this bad boy here, but underneath here is basically the left side of the tank is the Temptation of St. Anthony, which is a Dali painting. I might not know all the names of everything you see on the front here. There's like a swan. That's another painting of his. I'm not sure the name of it. Here we've got the melted clock thing happening, and this is like a cool one where it like deteriorates off from the side. I sort of changed the image to be more front on. It's like a 3/4 angle from the original painting. On this side is, I think it's called Swans Reflecting Elephants, which is pretty self-explanatory for what it actually is, because that's what really happens. There's trees here, but the reflection of it makes it look like the legs of the elephants. Very cool painting. And then the Dali sphere at the bottom. And I just filled in sort of earth and soil like he has in many of his paintings around the bottom. And the skies in the background. The skies are pretty much more copied from this painting, and I tried to, incorporate it throughout the rest of the bike. The fender has that as well as the little side piece. Maverick Airbrush, what's going on? Thanks, dude. Your work is excellent as well. Al Scheller, very cool. I haven't seen you forever, bud. How's things? Hey, here's a little funny story. I drank a moth today. I don't know why that happened. I just grabbed my water, which was from yesterday, so I guess that's on me. Drank it, and then something was hitting my lip, and I realized that it was a moth, and I'd already ate half of it. So that was a gross way to start my day. Okay, maybe I'll start actually unmasking this thing. I might have to move the camera around a little bit because, to get at certain areas. I'll just start with the bottom parts here, and I'll get into the characters after. I'll just take off all this pre-mask first. Anyone got any questions for me about this or about whatever? I don't care. Keep me talking. Let's see if there's any up here. Lots of people joined early on. All right, no questions yet. That's cool. So once I unmask this, it's not done. When I get down to it, you'll see all my edges and everything are still going to be pretty nasty. I don't know if I want to say nasty, but there'll be sharp edges from cut lines. And even I take these, the pre-mask off. Oh, I forgot to turn my GoPro on. I'm filming the whole thing with the GoPro too, so whatever. It'll be so sped up you won't notice. All of a sudden there'll be some things unmasked, but it happens from time to time. We in the shot here? How many hours I got into this thing? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's over 200 at this point. So it's getting silly. The only other job that I have that comes close to that is or has more than that, is the wife of this guy, which is the memorial bike that I did for the little girl who passed away. That's for this guy's wife, so they're being great to me and being super supportive. I think they just keep bringing me work because they like me, so that's cool. And that one was like 300 hours or something like that. As well as, I guess, the Chestang has a ridiculous amount of hours on it, which I don't really work on anymore. I wonder if I should start taking things off right away, or if I should just take the green crap off. Well, I'll just keep picking away at it and save some of the exciting stuff for a little bit later. Keep rocking it. Thanks, bud. I will try and do so. I put all this like green tape in. It's kind of semi-unnecessary, but I just don't want, say where there's little like cracks and things like that, all the overspray to get in. Probably wouldn't matter because, like I say, I'm going to have so many brush touch-ups after all this anyway that I could probably touch those up. But with a job that I put this much time into, I can afford to be a little bit anal, I think. I could just take this right off, I guess. Sure. There's some of the background. There's cool little details of, I don't know if you can see it that well. There's like little flowers and little rocks. Also, if you guys saw that memorial bike that I did, it's very similar colors, so their bikes should match. Is like a real nice pair. Hers is sepia tones and blue sky backgrounds, and this one is all kind of earth tones, very similar, and the blue sky. So the two bikes as a pair should be pretty impressive, and I think they're going to be putting them in bike shows and things like that, because you can't almost ride it as a daily driver anymore at this point. I guess you could, but don't get in a easy accident. Any other questions here? I should look back, I guess, because I missed some. Just hours. Yeah, a lot of time on this job. More than I thought, but they're really good to me. So, we sort of have a deal where I just log my hours and we're just going to work it out in the end. It's obviously more probably than they anticipated, more work than I anticipated. So, I'm sure we'll just work out something where it's both fair. This isn't as simple as sort of just like, here's the price, and we knew. It was sort of like, let's be fair to each other and work something out, which is nice. They're really great to me. Thanks, Al. That's cool, man. No worries. What type of paint am I using? I use, it's called Pro Spray, which I think is a Valspar product. It is urethane-based, automotive base coat. Even the brand, I'm not overly specific. I mean, it's good. I have no complaints. But, you could be using whatever. I used PPG for a job. It was great. My only problem with PPG, I'll turn my compressor off here. The only problem I had with the PPG is the final wipe I had was a little too aggressive for it, and I final wipe like I'm anal with it. I like to keep everything really clean, and even when I'm done this, I'll final wipe it, break off any edges or anything like that. So the final wipe that I use, and maybe that I could find another one that would work better, but it would eat through the paint like reducer would. So it was sort of a problem for me in my process. So I went back to how I used to do things and kept using this paint, which is, worked well for me. So might as well stick with what you know. But I'm sure if I used like House of Colors or something like that, it could be good. It could be better. I don't really know. It's too expensive. I don't use it. But Pro Spray, which I believe is from Valspar, I just used to use it from an automotive place that I worked at before, and I've continued to use it because it's what I started with. And they got the new low VOC compliant urethane stuff. I don't really love waterborne paint. Should, and maybe, in time it'll get better, and I see people do beautiful work with it, so obviously it can be done. Every time I try it, which again I have now not tried in a very long time, I don't like it. I don't feel like I can get the same detail. Or, well, I don't know. When I do the shoes, I use that Angelus paint, and it's water-based, and I find it to be great. But for some reason, the water-based automotive paints don't seem to rock the same way for me. So maybe one day I'll try some other products, and I'll be very happy with them. But for now, I'm liking my Pro Spray stuff here. Be very careful. Oh, fuck. Dinged her. Dinged her. There's a touch up. I got to work in from an awkward angle because I got the phone right where I should be. Maybe I'll come off to the side here. But it's looking pretty cool. I'll have to go around all the edges here and touch them up. I don't really like stencil cut edges. I don't mind, however, brush edges. They seem to look a little more natural to me. So all this here will all have to be cleaned up. I'm sure I'll airbrush in as well. It's not done by any means, but this will give us a really cool, a real first example look at how everything's looking. Let me check here if there's any more. Sent a request to be in my live video. I don't even know how that works. Not a big fan of automotive waterborne. Yeah, I don't know. I can't get it to work for me. Obviously, people do. There's great work being done with it. But not for me. That's cool. That guy sort of like blends into the background like in the painting, which is nice. Sometimes when you work the way that I work and I do like different sections and you've got everything else masked off, you can't really see the tone values and everything in the parts that you've already got masked off. So you'll unmask something and it won't be all matchy. I've gotten pretty good at what I do is I use the same colors. I could show you guys a bit of that, maybe keep this thing video long, I guess. But here's my colors. So this, for example, is the sky. So I've got all the different graduated steps. So it's really easy. I keep them. Well, they're not really air sealed, but they're just taped off. And then actually great if they dry up. I can just add reducer and they come back to life, which is one of the things I really like about this paint. And then anyway, so when I jump back to a color or if I've missed a section, it's fine because I've still got the colors going. I'm going to drop down here and start unmasking this guy. I don't need to salvage any of this anymore because it's done after this, minus all the little final touches. But normally I salvage all my sections, all my pre-mask sections, but once I know I'm done, or at least I'm confident that I'm done, I won't need to do that anymore. Any more questions here? I can't see the phone from where I'm at. So I'm looking at all the colors. It's looking pretty good, I think. Again, you'll see there's those little white edges, which is why I have to brush everything, but it gives you a good chance to clean everything up and make everything pop. That's how I like to do anyway. Let's see who's new here. Soto Customs, Emmy, Joe. Oh, hey, what's going on? Haven't heard from you in a long time. Does anyone have any questions about like this process? I noticed that like not a lot of people do this process with the pre-mask the way that I do it, cut and take it off and back on, and it's probably because it's stupidly time consuming, and most people probably try and make more money than me and get the jobs done on time. But yeah, even for me, I'm not sure it's the best process. It's working with the curved surface, so it does work, but then I gotta do all the brush cleaning up. I wish that I could stencil in a way that I didn't have to, like I was just done, like at this point I'm unmasking, I'm just done, and I don't accept it as being done. I do see some people's work have that sort of stencil edge, probably nicer than these because, you know I'm not leaving it, so I'm fine to sometimes put it in even if I know it's a little bit sloppy. Like you can see around these trees is going to be brutal, and I knew that when I was lining them up. They weren't lining up great. And I think that I see guys doing just like stencils, not, so it's not sticky, just like cardboard stencils. And that's a better edge. That's a more realistic looking edge. I just think with the curved surface and everything and keeping it all in place is a little ridiculous. As well as like freehanding everything too. I got too many different colors on the go and too sharp of color sections needed. Like I couldn't do this sky fade and bring in all these different bits freehand airbrush. I just don't think I'd get solid enough lines. And I argue with myself about what's the better way to approach it. And as far as time goes, this is probably one of the worst ways to do it. But when I'm done, I'm happy with the results. So I can't argue with the results, but not necessarily. There's things about it that I still don't love. Just like I say, all those stencil edges, I got to clean all that up now, which is, might not seem like that much, but there's a ton of different layers and edges here. I might have to, it might be a whole other day of work, or more. I probably won't be done this today. And that's what I've salvaged, all those colors, so that's a nice thing for me. As I go back to my old colors, they're still there. Because I'm just trying to keep talking. I'm just yapping away. Not a big fan of automotive. No new questions? Okay. Well, I'll just keep yapping. I got the gift of the gab, so I might as well utilize it. This looks cool, though. That side's pretty much unmasked. Or I guess it is unmasked, as far as that side goes. Well, let's go back to here. I'll adjust the camera again. That looks cool. Let's check our swan guy out here. Yeah, there ended up being, by the time I'm done, just so many colors used, because when I first mixed it, I was sort of going to try and be strict with myself, like these are all the colors. But then you get into a different piece like this, and yeah, there's blue. It's not the same as these blues, though, so there are reoccurring colors. I think some of the swan blues are within some of the watercolors, which are also in the clouds. I don't want. I'm mixing several paintings of his, which have different color tones. So, like the skies are different in each one of them, but I got to keep them all consistent, so that so that the overall paint job of the bike flows. It's not just literally, Photoshop collage, which is essentially what it is. I'm just copying for all this, but trying to do it in a way that everything's going to look good and flow nice. Oh, I think I just see something that I totally messed up. I knew it always happens somewhere, but check this out. It's just going to be white underneath here. Little bugger. Missed a spot of sky. Oh, well, that's okay. I will salvage the areas around it. I'm still going to unmask it all now just because I said I would, and I want to see what it looks like. But I'll have to come in later and touch in this guy, which is fine. It'll take like 5 minutes. It always happens. That's why I try and put these marker dots on it so you can see what's been done and what's not. But almost always I miss something. I was going to say it too, that you watch. It might not be the only one even. It just happens. But this is looking cool. There's a lot of brushing that's going to go on here after too. This sort of little face in the top of this, I don't know, Roman structure has like crazy branches on it. I just couldn't do them in individual sections and didn't want to cut it all. It would all look nasty. I'd have to touch it all up with a brush anyway. I might as well just wait and do it after. So there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff going on here too. Let me look back at my phone here, see if there's any questions or anything like that. Doesn't look like it. Oh, hello from Russia. Very cool. Oh, YOLO, what's up? That we were talking earlier. Painted a few goalie masks using this method. Easier with the curves. Yeah, agreed. Very, very time consuming, taking off, reapplying. Yeah, that is definitely true. It works for what it does, but it has its flaws. I don't know the very best way. I don't know if there is. I mean, I approach things differently. Here's an example of it. You see some guys doing goalie masks. Sorry, I got distracted by a message on my phone there. So they'll do a character. Say they were going to do this swan, for example. They'll just have it masked off, maybe just stenciled off, and then spray all the background, and then later they take it away and there's just white there, and then they freehand in. Well, that's ended up being how I did this rock, almost out of necessity because I kind of forgot to do it. So I sprayed the background, and then there was just the gap of white, and I just came back in with those colors. And it's fine, I guess, but it also left, like, it leaves a stencil-y type of an edge, which for where this is and how it is probably fine, but me being anal and I'm going to be doing brush touch-ups with all these colors anyway, I'll probably do a little bit of touching up on it, but I don't actually hate it. But I just found, like, if you had to do something with lots of dark color, like if I was spraying this side, by the time I get done it, I'm going to have some overspray over here. Now, this looks unnaturally sharp because it's a stenciled edge, but I feel like once I clean it up with a brush, maybe I haze in and soften, that's the right amount. And just sort of constantly battling with how sharp or soft focus, like, you know, the clouds being completely free-handed. Well, that works great for clouds. They're in the distance. They're soft. It works, right? But it doesn't necessarily work for, like, if a hand was in front of something. That looks like a sharp line. It is almost a stencil cut line. You just gotta, I don't know, I battle with myself. And personally, I don't watch a lot of other people's techniques or YouTube videos, which I probably should to save myself a lot of hassle. But I like to do things just learning the hard way, I guess. So yeah, is there a best way to do some, like always, like it's always this is the best way? I don't believe so, or I don't know of it, and I think different things apply for different jobs. So I don't know. This Dali painting is awesome too. I think it is my favorite Dali painting. And I obviously, you know, knew quite a bit of Dali work, but in this I researched it more, and what a cool guy, what a weird guy Dali was. But this painting is awesome, and I just like the odd and like sexual imagery and stuff. Like he's obviously being tempted by all these different things here. Girl, or there's like tits and there's weird things. Dali's he's a cool guy. Any other questions? Not yet. yeah, like so much of this, there's long lines of like, it's like there's almost like a little moss or something growing off of them. I'm gonna have to brush it all in. I didn't even, you'll see here these guys' legs, they get so thin, I'd cut them so I can see where they go, which is great. So I have like a guideline for them. But there was no point in cutting thin and painting this thin, cut line where I can just brush it in. So I made that executive decision to do that. A lot of these lines are pretty good. They're kind of cleaner looking than I was thinking. I thought I was going to have some pretty evil white edges, but you can just see a little bit there. But that's nice. I got a real fine brush I can clean all that up with. Well, let's go do thanks for all these thumbs up, because I'm skipping past those like they're not questions. But there was a lot of people joined and went through this already. McFizz, thanks. Wave from Pat. Oh, Pat's Pat. He's probably not here anymore anyway. Lots of waves. Gecko Montar, thumbs up. That's a cool name. VW Will. Oh yeah, we were talking. They're killing it. Thanks, dude. I commented on that already. Koenigs Customs, thumbs up. Looks like he paints motorcycles. I can see that in the image. Carrie N. Nunez, or Carrie L. Nunez, is laughing for some reason. I hope not at me. Just getting caught up. Hello from Russia, from YOLO. Sweet. Pro Talks 999, thumbs up. Thank you, sir. Washington Moriera JA, thumbs up. Lostra Zostefade, I don't know how to say that. He's an airbrusher though. Thumbs up. Cool. Wyatt Tattoo, right on. Dope as fuck from Get 'Em Gone. Thank you. Okay, caught up. I'm gonna keep unmasking. You can see, but here's the phone. There's a GoPro right there, so I'm surrounded by the cameras right now, which I film all the time now, so I'm pretty used to it. Another thing I can do, you can see there's like a little bit of shininess on the source. Every time I finish a section, I spray it with transparent base coat. So for some people, that might be like an inner coat clear. For me, it's literally the clear binder. So like the glue essentially part of the base coat. So when you get your colors, they're all like mixed in with different binders and carriers for the paint. So I get them to give me that shit just raw. So I just get raw transparent base coat. So it's essentially base coat just with no color in it. And then it dries instantly. Just give it a little shot, and I can then just move on. I just let it dry and mask over it. And I mask over it more fearlessly, I would say, than I would if it was not protected a little bit. As well, sometimes you get some dry spray. It's happened to me on this Sky Fade. You can hear, oh, it's so nice and smooth. You don't hear anything. Now listen to this. It sounds like sandpaper, because I've gotten just rough textures from the overspray buildup, because I did it all with an airbrush. And in fact, I did it with a finer airbrush than I probably should have. So that got me a little bit of a rough texture. So when you have something like that, if you put a bit of lay it out with the inner coat clear, you can level it out a little bit nicer and protect it. So say you had some little rough pits, and when you rub it like that, you can see the little dots from you rubbing off the top layer. Well, that won't happen so much. Here's going to be another little white spot, but it needs to get brushed in, so it is not a concern of mine. And like same with this girl's like crazy hair flying around. I didn't even paint any of it. There's a girl holding her boobs. Tempting. St. Anthony. Lots of different color sections going on in here. This is going to be a bugger too. Another little piece of sky that I missed. See, I knew there'd be more. So that'll be a little tiny touch up for me, which is whatever. It happened. Horsetails being annoying. Well, horsey's done. How do I mask the part I've already drawn? Yes, the same mask I've cut. So this is just a cutting board, and I just put pre-mask on it so that I don't, so it's cleaner. And I just cut it. I cut the whole job, drew the whole job, cut the whole job, and then pull off section by section. Pull them off, stick them down here so they stay stuck so the sticky side doesn't get dusty or lose its tack. And then I paint the section, stick it back in. You can do any of them in any order. Obviously, I leave big things like the background for the end because to remask the whole background would be stupid. So I just go like small pieces or whatever character I want to work on. It doesn't really matter when you do it that way. Johnny boy, thumbs up. Thanks, dude. Yeah, so that's how I do that. Yeah, I'm happy with how this is looking anyway. Should be very cool. Let me move this a little closer now. Should be great when it's all touched up and cleared. I'll grab this side piece and show you the example of the touched up edges versus these rough edges. So here's, you see I've got the same blue yellow streak kind of going in, so all the skies and backgrounds can match. And I'll move this up a little bit. So here is a side piece that goes, like down here. That's where the belt, I'm not a bike guy, I don't know. That's where the belt goes. Other people will probably laugh at me for saying that. But anyway, these are cleaned up, brushed lines. So like you can imagine, just like say the legs here that have a little, it's hard, probably maybe you can't even see in the video. You're probably like, it looks great, I can't tell. But this brush, when I unmasked it, would have had like thin little white edges. I brushed some details like along the sides. It probably adds somewhat of a cartoony look, I would say. You can see it within the eyes here, but it's like a nice way to get a sharp edge without using a stencil. Obviously, these were cut anyway, but like even here along this sort of black edge, I brushed that one and then airbrush up to it. And it basically is the same look as a stencil, but I don't use a stencil. Now, you can argue that a stencil is faster, and it probably is, but I get the exact shape that I want. I don't have to make adjustments with a, curvy, different looking stencil. I can just do it exactly how I want. That's how I did the Iron Man skeleton helmet, which was one of the first times I really tried doing that. And I just wanted all the edges exactly sharp where they were. So I would paint one color, then brush the hard edge, and then paint the next step and brush the hard edge up to it. And you just get like really, I got really good depth out of it. I was happy with that process. Again, real time consuming. Most of the ways I do things are not the fast way. And I don't argue that they're the best. It's just doing the way I'm doing it. So I think some people, airbrushers, probably might not like a lot of the ways I do it just because they are super time consuming. And I think airbrush is looked at as maybe a faster tool. And I've gone and made it not so much. No. Yeah, like these sort of ugly white edges. Every one of these kind of charcoal spheres here are gonna have to be brush outlined. But I just think when I got so many different color sections, how else can I do it? I mean, stencils would work, but now I'm dealing with, double curved surface. Stencils are terrible on, like, say, a helmet. It doesn't really work that well. This structure is really cool. Did a lot of brush work in it, which hopefully still blends into everything else. I think when I do all my brush touch-ups on everything at the end will be helpful in making it all match. What paper do I use for masking? It's paper pre-mask or vinyl transfer tape. It's what's used to, when you have vinyl letters and you stick them down from the vinyl, they're cut, and then you take them off that and apply it to whatever surface you're applying it to. But you can get it and use it for this. I think they sell it like as a product for this too. My brand is called Main Tape. But again, I've said this a lot because everyone always asks me that. I'm not brand specific. I've used a bunch of different ones and I find them all to be the same. So, not saying anything on Main Tape. It's working great, but I don't offer any exclusivity there. But if you want to look up the Main Tape one, where I'll show you, I got it right beside me here. So this is Main Tape. This is a larger roll of it. You can get it in different sizes. Anyway, Main Tape, pre-mask or transfer tape. I don't know exactly what they call it. Check that out. Okay, I could be going a lot quicker here, but whatever. Story of my life. Okay, that's cool. So obviously these guys will have full length legs and all that shit when I'm done. I even pre-shadowed them because I know where they're going. You can't see it probably very well or at all, but there's cut lines from me cutting the transfer tape. So I specifically did that so I can use them as guides so I know where I'm going. And this whole sort of soil, this part at the bottom is sort of bullshit. I made that up. It's to copying from the same kind of, earth as this to just make it match. But it's not from a Dali painting. How do I trace on the tank? I've seen you trying on the tank with printed paper. So it isn't printed paper. What I do for that process is, well, here's one of them. I'll grab it. It's stuck to the wall, so I gotta untape it. Okay. So here's this, right? So what I did is just put a piece of paper on my computer where I've got the painting laid out, right? Because I'm just tracing. So I trace everything that is an important or different color section to me. And then this is the dumb part, my dumb way of doing things, where I flip it and put it on a light table, and then I scribble over all the lines. You can see through them because the other side of it. And this works as like a carbon copy. There's like products for this. You don't have to do it this way. It's just the way that I've done things. It's a cheapy way that I do things, and I haven't changed it. And then I'll put it down onto the this entire thing's covered in the paper pre-mask, put it on, draw just the color sections, and then say I was doing the horse. When I pull off that section, that's why this guy's cut so neatly, so that I can line it back up, and then I retrace all my details and then freehand airbrush within the section. That is essentially my process for this entire bike. My GoPro video is going to be weird when I keep stopping working and grab shit and put it in front of the camera the whole time. This part should look cool. I'm excited to see the Dali sphere. Let's go from the top here. Thought it was all unmasked under here, but I guess not. Any other questions? Thanks, great job. Thanks, man. No worries. Oh, another little mist section, but that'll just be a brush in. So that's easy. Okay. Looks like everything except for the clock now. So let's try and set this camera up a little bit better for that, I guess. I don't know if I can get it at a really great angle. I'm at the maximum height that the stand goes, so that's going to be our viewing angle from here. And again, anyone, shoot questions if you got them. Just try and mask this bottom part, and then I'll change cameras or return it or something so you can hopefully see what I'm doing for the rest of it. still see this in this camera angle? Yeah. GoPro is an issue too here. Hard to get this in a good spot. What's YOLO? Thanks, man. And taxi cab. What type of airbrush do I use? On this basically entire job, I've used this guy, Iwata HPC Plus. It is my main airbrush currently. I have a bunch of others, but I generally just use. Sometimes I could do jobs where I use multiple at a time, but I've been just been using one at a time lately and changing colors with the cups, and that's the one I've been using. It's my best one. I don't have like a custom micron or anything cool like that. I find I can get pretty small details with that one. Going to be a lot of brush work to make this thing complete still. You can just see, especially now up close, you know, all these, every one of these little pieces, and as you can see there's a ton of them, are all going to need to be lined, and I don't just do it with one color. I try and match the color that's closest to it, so you know, it doesn't stand out as an outline thing. It just looks natural. So that's the pain in the ass thing about this way of doing things. This video's getting close to being an hour. I didn't think it would take this long, but I guess I've been yapping and moving slowly is just to keep it going. Oh, dinged it a bit. Gotta be careful with the blade, but sort of, in my opinion, the best way to go about it. Yeah, there's going to be a silly amount of brushing. Definitely no way I'm going to be done this today, but that's fine. A job I've been on for like basically a couple of months. I don't need to rush and try and get the last bit done in a day. That's for sure. Yeah, see, there's some ugliness there that'll definitely take some touching up. Oh, this is cool too. This gas cap sits here, we're going to get it, what's that called? Powder coated to like match this, so it'll be like the center of the clock. That should be a pretty cool look. Be excited to see what this thing looks when it's built again. We get put together at Badlands Choppers in Drumheller. Check them out. Getting into the last little pieces here. And as I do those touch-ups and stuff at the end, I sometimes airbrush in a little bit too, do general highlighting over the entire job or shading. Usually I'll just, besides touch-ups, only come with like a really reduced black and a really reduced, I don't know if I want to say white, but highlight color. Because when I do different color sections, I've not gone all the way to black, and then I'll do another different color section and not go all the way to black. And sometimes it's just varying consistencies or hues. So just so I can keep that a little more consistent, I'll hit them at the end if I need to. Well, I think that's it. Let's have a look at her here from a further back. Love that angle. Getting lots of glare. This side's very cool. Really like that painting. Dali sphere. Try and get it out of the glare. Can't help that, I guess, from the height I'm at. That's just my overhead light. But the sphere looks cool. I really like also this. I sort of lined things up, not symmetrically, but symmetrically. There's sort of the way these peaks and points all come in. It's it flows nice, but it's not, obviously it's asymmetrical a bit. Same with things like this. On this side, you've got, it's like water, but it just, fades in the horizon to sky, and it goes into that yellow sky. And on this side, you got it here in this separate patch, and you got actually a lower skyline, lower horizon line, so it's sort of a funny thing to make match. I wanted to make it sort of look as if that watercolor flows into the clouds. I mean, it sort of does, it's not fully, but the similar colors as well from the sky and the sphere here. Alright, I'll just circle it around a few times and then I will end this live video. But there's a good look at this side. Test cab sphere looks awesome. Thanks, man. Yo, thanks. So very interesting. I'm going for painting. Cool, man. Thanks a lot, guys, and everyone else that watched and that will watch as this ideally stays on my story for the day, if I can make it do that, which I believe I can. So that's that. That thing's gonna look pretty cool cruising down the street, or ideally in a bike show. You know what I'll do is I will grab the other parts here, and let's grab the parts and lay them out. We'll end it that way so we can get a look at roughly, it's not complete yet, but roughly what the other parts look like sitting near it. I'll back this up. So, I don't know if you can really see that yet. I've got those same colors that I used for the earth tones in this Wood is Cloud, which sort of goes like fire. Basically, you don't even see a lot of that. That sits like under the seat and everything. The fender sits a lot more like on an angle like this. I can't see, but so, you know, this is almost all unseen, but you still need to paint it because you can physically see it. So, you know, I made it look just as kind of bullshit clouds and stuff, which weren't really difficult to do. So there's that. Maybe we'll set this up so you can kind of see how it looks. And then my other little part here. And there's that. There's just a bit of tape above this guy's head here because I got to do a little touch up. I noticed there. So that's essentially the look of the bike there. All the skin tone sections, I use the same tones. All the sort of earth tone sections, I use the same tones, the skies, just to try and keep it consistent that way. There's some variations throughout, like the greens in here, but they are throughout as well. Like they might match some of the tones in the swan, and there you go, you see them again here in the horse and the elephant. So very consistent, you know, color flow through the whole thing. Great looking pieces. Thanks a lot. Yeah, guys, I think that's it. Oh, look at this. It's 25 seconds left. We'll have a full hour video. So maybe I'll just let her chill. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and for the kind things and just comments in general and keeping up on my Instagram. And I got YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff too, so check that out if you haven't. Thanks and bye.